Hey guys, Dean here. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can become a freelancer. Now, this is going to be a full guide on how to be a freelancer online, but this will be kind of like a generic guide, which is a blanket guide to cover just generally being a freelancer. This is because I want to teach the main skills of how you can work, but you picking your own niche is what you first need to do before learning about these certain tenets and how to get a client, for an example. So we're going to talk about how to acquire clients, how to price your time and work, and how to leverage social media to get more gigs, and also how to scale your income to increase the amount of money which you make each month from the services which you're offering. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So a freelancer is paid for the results that you deliver. You're not paid for the time that you exchange. So forget about the whole 9 to 5 exchanging time for money dynamic, because that doesn't really apply here in freelance work. You don't trade time for money, and this is a good thing. You offer your skill in exchange for money, right? So this is where the mindset change needs to shift. Now, some of the benefits of freelancer include working remotely from your laptop. A lot of these skills in certain trades that you can go into as a freelancer mean that you can kind of live anywhere abroad as a digital nomad. Of course, you need to first start making some kind of income to be able to do this, but once you scale it to a certain extent, this can be really good. Now, personally, this is quite lucrative because you don't have any kind of real boss or so-called big brother to command you or for you to answer to. So this is the kind of line of work where you get full freedom, but you will be under the clock with certain clients, and you do need to uphold a certain level of trust and high quality work. Now, some common mistakes that people make as a freelancer: not charging enough because you don't really know the value of your time and the value of your service, and also not knowing how to make an offer or how to reach out to potential clients to actually get work. This is where most people fail because they can be really skilled at the craft, but if you can't find clients to actually hire you, you're not going to make money. It doesn't matter how good you are, right? And also, a lot of people don't have social skills or awareness to build rapport and build a connection with their clients and build up that trust. Because of this, they don't really know where to source potential clients that they can actually work with. So this guide is also going to go over that too. Now, before you can even become a freelancer, you need to know what kind of skill or what kind of service you're actually going to offer, right? If you have multiple talents, it's important to kind of niche down. You need to pick a main skill or your main passion and pick that to start off with. This can also be changed later, and you can also do freelance work in a different sector if you decide that you don't like the current one. But it's important to not put your hand in too many baskets per se. If you're really unsure during this process, it's best just to pick something that you're naturally good at, because this seems to work the best. If you're good at graphic design or editing or even web design, pick one of those. Or if you're an artist or a creative, just go into those niches. Now, if you're not proficient in a skill already, but you want to go into it, you can actually still learn it before you get into servicing that skill out to other people. For an example, if you want to get into copywriting, you could just get a copywriting course or watch videos which are free online to learn that skill and get proficient at that craft. You can also go on fiverr.com and visit it and see what other freelancers are doing and take a look at the categories of niches and skills and pick one of those which pertains to your certain strength. Now, as a freelancer, when you start working, you have to build up some kind of credibility and trust with clients. Just like when you're selling products, it's all the same. So you have to make some kind of social media or a website that you can leverage to showcase that you've worked with past people and you are a person which is liked and trusted. So for this, you can make a Twitter account, you can make an Instagram or a blog or website to showcase these testimonials. So you need to basically offer people free work or reduced cost work at first in exchange for them to give you a review, aka this testimonial, to build up your reputation and trust. This is important because if you say to them, look, I'll do the work for free for you if you give me a review, or I'll charge you a very cheap rate so you can review me, then they'll most likely give you a review, and then you can use those from said clients to build up the trust. Because the more people that have worked with you and have rated you as a quality tradesman, the more chance other people are going to work with you too, right? So that's a super important first step, and that's how to build up your testimonials a lot quicker. Now, a freelancer is self-employed, so this means that you set your own work hours. Now, a balance between overworking and laziness is going to be a thing. You shouldn't be lazy, of course, because otherwise you're not going to make the money that you need to make, but you have to try not to overwork to exhaustion, because obviously that's not going to be very healthy. But obviously, as men, a lot of us want to just work as hard as possible and do as much work as possible and put in as many hours as possible, and sometimes that can lead to toxic productivity, which I am guilty of, and I think everyone is guilty of that when they're starting out. But you need to kind of try and find a balance, as with everything, right? Now, focusing on quality work over quantity is super important. So 2 to 4 hours of of work, which is focused on the right area, can be a productive day, which is of 8 to 10 hours of constant working. Especially if this isn't focused work, the focused work that's more quality work is always going to win over the quantity of time that you put in. So for an example, if you make a schedule or a list of things you need to do throughout the day and have a clear-headed focus, then you can get things done far quicker and be more efficient. I mean, that's just common sense. Now, when you're working in your chosen field and you're working for a client, it's really important to keep up that productivity, right? So turn off any devices that you're not using for work. You can always get back to people. You don't need notifications blasting all the time. It's going to basically shift your focus, and get rid of all the distractions. You need to be in the zone while you're doing work so you have free time later, and also so you don't make any mistakes. This is not about wasting time or extending your work time any longer than you need to. And also, especially if you're doing something really intensive like copywriting or some kind of creative writing, it's very easy to make spelling and grammatical errors. And if you're a professional, just making a few errors can make a lot of difference in the quality of work. Now, you're going to need some kind of social media like we mentioned earlier. This is super important. So choose Instagram or Twitter. Twitter is powerful to leverage, but Instagram has the ability to DM literally anyone on the app regardless of your following. On Twitter, sometimes you need to follow each other and some people can easily block DMs, but on Instagram it's not really as straightforward as that. Although on Instagram, your message will first go through to people's message requests and then they need to accept it, so sometimes they can also overlook your messages there too. I personally dislike Twitter and the negative content which it really displays, so I personally tend to avoid it. I don't really like the culture on that website, and I don't like that a lot of negative media is kind of pushed down your throat even if you're not following those certain pages. I personally think Instagram is the best for social proofing, as you will have photos of your life so people know that they have your face there and that you have social connections and they're working with a real person. So I feel like you can have more believability and trust if you use Instagram, for an example. It builds trust in your authority, especially if you're showcasing personal parts of your life on there too. So when working online as a freelancer, you need to not overthink. You need to put yourself out there, you need to take risks and get ready to make money and take money. Try to scale and build up these social medias. Followers and engagement can help build credibility. Of course, fake followers may look good on your page and they may see you have a ton of followers, but it won't really have the engagement as real followers will give your page. So it will also have a little bit of a lack of credibility if people investigate just a little bit into it. As for social media websites and websites that you can be a member of, LinkedIn is also a great platform for business and like-minded people and professionals. You're going to find a lot more business-minded people on LinkedIn rather than something like Facebook, for an example, because that's what that website is all about. It's building business and social connections in relation to it. Now, depending on your niche or your field, it could be useful to use LinkedIn to find companies and potential clients and engage with them through that. This is also super informative and important to utilize for testimonials and building a professional business profile with past work and a good photo, for an example. Now, you don't need a personal brand for freelancing or even a company. You can do odd jobs in your field as an individual, but as you earn money, it may be wise to make a company which is optimal for paying taxes and also later potentially brand your service to actually scale it up. Like I mentioned in a few of my other videos, any marketable service which you can sell or work through as a freelancer can be scaled into an agency company later if that's the avenue you want to go down. Now, to get clients, you have to reach out and offer your particular service. This is all about outreach. People won't come to you, you have to come to them. Unless you're, of course, an influencer who already has followers or some kind of broad message that people are already tapping into. Now, the idea here is to look for about 5 to 10 people or companies that you can reach out to every single day in order to try and attract them as a client. So this part is quite important. This is called your daily outreach, and this is kind of like a numbers game, just like with online dating, for an example. So if you've ever used an app like Tinder, it's all about a numbers game, right? This is the same with getting clients. It's all about the amount of number of people you reach out to, and some of them may respond, some might not, some of them might end up working with you, and some of them may just be a short exchange and then they're not interested, okay? So it's all about the amount of people you reach out to and about your particular message that you send them. Now, if you have a very low response rate or success rate, look at your messages or requests which you've actually been sending. Learning copywriting and content writing skills are great skills to help with this, for believability and to convince people to actually work with you and to believe that you have value that you can offer them that makes it worthwhile with them engaging with you. So the general rule is analyze your potential clients, whether they're an individual or their company, and look at their main problem or weakness, okay? Mention that you can offer value to them and help them in some kind of way, and then show or give a kind of hint how that you can help them, and then give a call to action to contact you via your message, and attempt to lead them into some kind of business call or social tap that you can talk to them about what you're offering and why it helps them as a whole. Try to write to them in a way that's an engaging manner that doesn't come off as scammy, so that they can actually look at it with a sense of trust, not like you're trying to sell them something, which is kind of the hard part. The important thing here is talk about yourself less and talk about them more and how you can help them more, because the focus is on what you can do for them and what you can offer them and the value you can give them in order for their company to reach their goals. So let's have an analogy here. So just like when you're on a date, talking too much about yourself makes you come off as vain or disinterested in the other person, right? It's the same with business and an exchange. Now, when writing these kind of requests, you could use a plugin like Grammarly on your browser, which is free, and this helps to mop up or correct any grammatical or spelling mistakes which could be made in your requests that make them look far less professional. I've had emails reaching out to me where they have very poor grammar and I'll just overlook them automatically, so it's important that you get this right. Now, as a freelancer, a lot of the more basic options that you can utilize are Fiverr.com, Upwork, and Freelancer. These are all platforms that freelancers can use to offer their services, build up testimonials, and make money for their skills. List yourself in the professional directories on here, or apply in the job directories to find clients to work with. Platforms like Fiverr can be really lucrative to make money at first and for easily sourcing work, but highly skilled professionals from poor countries like India can usually undercharge or lowball the service and do the work a lot cheaper and faster than you, so it's very competitive. Cold approaching clients via social media will always be more profitable, so do both when possible, although obviously cold approaches to get clients are a lot tougher, but they pay off a lot more in terms of the money you make. Now, the goal for us here is to try and get multiple clients to work for. Eventually you should be able to get some to do regular work with you and outsource their work to you, and you might even get some kind of monthly retainer, which means you'll be getting regular income from one client that you know is always going to come in at the end of the month. This is the consistent earnings which we're looking for as a freelancer. You're not their employee, however, so you can also benefit from working with multiple people because you're not under a contract, as long as it fits into your available hours and you can still scale it based on the time you have left. So let's move on to pricing. So your pricing for services which you sell or offer are dependent on the market of your chosen skill or niche. It can be quite confusing at first to deem what you can actually put a value on your time as. So what should you actually be charging? Well, you may need to actually look at competitors and then price accordingly. If you're in something like the copywriting niche and you see people charging $3,000 for what you're offering, you could offer $1,000 or $2,000 at first so you can beat them at their own game and build up your testimonials and client trust. Now, that's just an example, of course, but as a beginner building testimonials or building the skill, you'll tend to typically charge less. Now, as for accepting payments for work, they're best done through a payment processor like PayPal, which seems to be the most global solution for transferring funds. This is what I used. However, crypto can be a possibility now, but usually less trustable clients tend to pay you in crypto. That's more shady things because not many professionals will pay you in crypto. But if you want to transfer via international bank transfer, you can also use wise.com. I find that quite good to send money to Europe. But when I was doing freelance work many years ago, I used PayPal to get money from people. I found that the easiest way. But PayPal does, however, have certain limits to the amount of held funds, and you can run into some issues when you're going into the high thousands in terms of your earning. So different gigs that you'll run into vary, okay? But there's a few different types. So you have singular one-time jobs, which will offer typically one-time payments, and you might work with a client again or you might not. And then you have monthly retainers, which we mentioned, that will offer you regular income and work with a client. And some payments are just based on your performance or a percentage. Now, single gigs are good, right? Especially in the beginning, but relying on them is not really great unless they're big gigs which pay big dollars, because small gigs for a few $100s won't really get you to that financial level that you want to, that we're trying to typically scale to. Retainers are what you're aiming for to get some kind of sustainable income, regular clients that pay you frequently, especially on a monthly term. This is monthly incomings that make sure that you know you're getting a fixed monthly incoming payment that's high. Trust that you can pay the bills and any outstanding payments you need to pay, and elevate you to the next level of potentially making that 2, 3, 4, 5, or maybe even 10k a month if you can scale it to that level. This is the professional end of the game, which you're aiming to reach at the end, right? You can also leverage performance-based income. If you're proficient and you're skilled, you can acquire income based on a percentage of a sale for a client. Now, this typically only applies to certain fields like copywriting, for an example, but it's also applied to when you front affiliate links, when you're doing social media marketing copywriting, for an example. So that's going to conclude this video on how to become a freelancer. This is a broad guide which can be applied to basically any proficient skill which you can offer or service online, and this is just how to price your services accordingly and how to interact with clients and actually get work. So I hope this was useful in some way. Give the video a like if you got some value from this, and subscribe for more business and travel videos. I have a lot of videos on how to start home businesses and videos on the best places to visit in the world, so definitely stick by and stay on the channel. Thanks for watching.